I have shown in my talks the transmission of Indic knowledge systems to the West. Where did Europe get its knowledge from? The backstory that Western texts would never admit. I have shown summary of out of India transmission. We can go to the earliest periods, 3000 BC to 1200 BCE, where in my talks I have shown early transmission from India to Sumeria. And the evidences I've shown here, Rig Veda, Harappa trade, Sumerian internal accounts, archaeobotany. Then I've shown that in 2000 BCE, we have scientific papers that talk about a 200-year monsoon failure. Following that monsoon failure, we have evidence of Indians going out and settling the Fertile Crescent, which means the Nile River Valley, Euphrates River Valley, and the Tigris River Valley. We have evidence of these things. We also have evidence of the Hittites. The Hittites were in Turkey, where Turkey is today. We have evidence of transmission of knowledge to the Minoan culture. Minoans are the early Greeks, right? We have evidence of that transmission in addition. And if you go to the period from 600 BC to 200 BC, we got evidence of Greek philosophers coming to India and taking knowledge directly, whether it is Plato and Vaisheshika, recorded contacts, Skylax, Alexander, Pyrrhon, the Library of Alexandria, Pythagoras, Democritus, Hippocrates. I've given these evidences in my earlier talks. I'm not going to say that. I'm only summarizing these things, how Indian knowledge went out to the West. Then between 200 BC to 600 BCE, we had the Indo-Roman trade, when Indians were directly trading with the Romans, right? They used to go, when trade winds were right, they'd come over here through the Red Sea, and here is Alexandria, land caravan to Alexandria, from Alexandria to Mediterranean countries. So this is the trade that was done in those days. We have evidence on Periplus of Erythraean Sea, Kushan era Brahmi from Berenike, and I've given so much of evidence on all of these things. Then we have out of India through the Jews, through Armenia, through Syria, through the so-called Syrian Christians, for example. I've shown how the Jewish people, they settled in India after the Romans had destroyed the second temple in Jerusalem. We had a wave of Jews coming and settling in India, in the Kerala. They were given permission to settle in Kochi and places like that. In the 2nd century itself, we have evidence of those people from there. They were sources of transmission in addition. Then we had Nestorians. Nestorians are people who denied some philosophical conditions on Christianity. They were called blasphemers and they were made to leave Byzantine, and they settled in Kerala. Today they are called Kerala Christians, right, or Syrian Christians and so on. So they were sources of transmission to Syria, which is Armenia and places like that. I've shown connections where the bishop Severus Sebokht in the 7th century, how he's talking about Indian knowledge. How does he know about Indian knowledge in the 7th century? Because of these transmissions. So we have clear evidence of many of these things. Then when Islam came on the scene, it burst on the scene 711, current era, when bin Qasim invaded Sindh. At that time, they kidnapped several of the Pandits and took them to Arabia, converted them, and forced them to translate from Sanskrit into Arabic. And we know some of the books like Suri Siddhanta, we know the Charaka Samhita, Shushruta Samhita. These are the books, and Brahmagupta's Brahmasputa Siddhanta. These books were all translated, and these were injected into the Abbasid Empire. All these countries in Arabia, in Algeria, in Tunisia, in Morocco, all the way to southern Spain, that was under the control of Muslims. Indian knowledge is injected from the 7th century onwards, right, 700 rather, 8th century onwards, injected into all these countries. I've given several evidences for these things. And from 1000 to present era into Europe. At that time, Europe was in dark ages. They were under the control of Christianity. But the elites would send their eldest son to go and study at the feet of the Moors are the Muslims, because they said they got superior knowledge to us. And they would come to Spain and study over there. In Christian Spain, which is in Toledo, there was a cathedral where the only job was to translate from Arabic into Castilian into Latin. And we got several evidences. I've given you a whole list of evidences in my talks on these things. This is how Indian knowledge diffused into Europe between 1000 to 1600 current era, leading to the so-called Renaissance, positioned as a flowering of Western thought and so on. And the question to ask is, how is illiterate, backward, primitive Europe, how did it start doing all of these things? Where did that knowledge come from? Can't come in a vacuum, right? So it has come through these transmissions over here. Then we have direct transmissions, the colonialization from 1700s to the present, where Indian knowledge is gone. So what I've shown to you over here is the reality. out of India knowledge transmissions from 3000 BC to the present time, a whole lot of transmissions to different areas. This is for the benefit of people who say that you're a jingoistic chap, everything came from India. Unfortunately, this is the reality. This is there in our history that nobody talks to you about. But once you put these things here, it becomes fairly clear that yes, in every period of time, India has got contact with other parts of the world, and we know the guys who took knowledge and went there. We have evidence of that knowledge used in that foreign culture. We also know that. So this is not acknowledged in any Western textbook, unfortunately, because they exalt the Greeks and Romans as an apex.